Yeah, fine. So here, so whenever we have to provide the prototype, so the new property and new method we are trying to add. So that property value we are providing 5,000. So that new property name can be some bonus. So new method can be, so you can write any new method as you wish. So get customer info. Okay, something. So this property and this method would be available for the prototype object. So, and indirectly we can access customer also. But while checking that object, so then we are unable to see this bonus and get customer info method. We are able to see inside the customer object name and salary. But so inside the prototype object, we are able to see this property and method. So that's why, so now if you want to provide customer and if you want to provide prototype object, so directly we are able to see only name, salary, these two properties. I did not provide any function, but here this is the prototype object. So it is having bonus and get custom info something method. So this is customer object. So this is prototype object. Okay, so this is now, if you try to access console.log, so that customer one something, so customer one dot, we can normally we can access name and as well as customer one dot salary. So because those all are earlier properties, even though that, so prototype related object related properties and methods also we can access through this customer. Okay, so customer one dot bonus, customer one dot get cust info. So that is the advantages of prototype keyword. Okay, so these are the things we have learned, and after that I have provided so two objects, right? So parent equal to something, parent object is having some name or some properties, we can give something extra for the parent, something what, okay, something salary should be there. Some salary parents are getting 50,000. So let child is, okay, if you want to write, you can write get parent sal. Okay, written this dot salary. Similar way, we can provide children's salary also, that children also getting some salary. Okay. And object, right? If it is object, then we have to provide the comma, otherwise it will give the error. Get child sal function written this dot salary something. Okay, so here two objects would be there. If you want to write extra method for this parent, get parent method function, we will write some business logic. So if you want to write separate method of child also, So normally what will happen if you want to access from the child, so then it would be overridden. So these values. So if any special method would be there, so this parent related method we are able to access inside the child. So how? So for that we have to use underscore underscore, then only we are able to access proto underscore underscore. So we have to provide the parent object. So this would be, we will learn so in detail at the time of ES6 level, but here we have to discuss about through this approach. Okay, but this is not directly we can use. So we should not use directly like this. We have to use through prototype keyword, but indirectly what's happening, I have explained here. Okay, so these are the things we have discussed yesterday. So now we will discuss about closures. So this is not new concept, we have already learned. So local variables and global variables earlier. Same thing, just extra we have to provide one more function. Okay, so just write down closure is an inner function which has, guys listen now, please mute your mics. So till now we have discussed only earlier. So how can we mute everyone? Yeah. Closure is an inner function which has access to. So we have already learned, right? Its own variables means local variables. Then we have to provide the global variables. So these two things we know already, right? So every function is having, can access local variables and global. How? So where e equal to 10, we have already discussed this thing earlier. Function, so my func1 where b equal to 20. So can we access here console.log? So a comma b, right? Or a plus b something. So we can access global variables and as well as local variables. So then what is the use of learning again closer here, right? Just you need to understand first this point, okay? So these 2 points I have covered, but third point is very important. Outer function means that we have to provide the nested functions. So outer function variables and its parameters. This is the special feature for the closure. So then how to provide the function we will see now. Okay, just I'm providing simple for understanding, I'm giving same thing. Outer function, some x parameter. Okay, so where, so you can give one variable. So that variable outer func variable. Okay, just some meaningful n. So, and I'm trying to provide function, inner function. I'm providing one more variable, something like y. So then again, I'm providing, so inner fun or inner func variable equal to 20. And I'm trying to provide global variable. So where global var equal to something 5. Okay, so now I will try to access so all those variables, but before accessing, so once function is over, then we need to call that function, right? So how to call? Inner function, some parameter is there. So I need to pass the parameter some 2. So once completion of this function, I need to call the outer function. So that outer function is parameter is x. I want to pass something 3. So now, so inside the inner function, I'm trying to access all those variables. So now, what are the variables? global variable plus, so x variable plus outer function variable plus, so inner function parameter y plus, so inner function variable plus, okay, that's it, right? Not more than that. So we will get it all the variable access inside the inner function. So this is nothing but closure. Closure is nothing but an inner function which can access outer function variable, means sorry, global variable. So outer function related variable and its parameter, inner function related variable and its parameter. So that is nothing but closure. That is the definition we have written, right? Its own variables means local, global, and outer function variables and its parameters. Okay, so that is the thing I have written. So now if you try to print, what is the output we will get it? So something like, okay, did you provide console.log? Okay, fine. So 5 plus how much we have provided? 3. So 8, 18. So here I provided 2, 20 plus 20, 40 it will display. Wait, what happened? Something mistake, what's happening? Huh? What is this? Global variable function spelling correct only, right? X we are passing 3, where outer function related variable. Oh, I did not write variable, inner function variable. I have written function names. Okay, now it will come. 40. Okay, so this is the output we are expecting, means so we are able to access this one. This is a simple example for understanding closer. They will see little bit real time. So then we will go for one more example. We will see 3 examples. Okay, so just take this example and try to write down this one first definition. So I have already pinged you the example. Just write down these 3 points. Yeah, right. Just 1 second or 10 seconds now. So then I will drink water. That's why. Okay, fine. So now, so let me write down one more example. So this is a little bit, okay, somewhat better. So that is for understanding example. So now I will write a little bit more. For example, I may provide function create. Okay, so this create like simple counter related example. So I'm providing some 5 value. So this function return some object. So one function can return anything, right? So for example, leave it about this one. First of all, you need to understand this one. Function can return number, right? So function can return string, function can return boolean, function can return so array of so numbers, array of strings, array of objects, array of booleans, anything. And function can return one more function, function can return object. These things you should aware first. Okay, so inside that return object, so they have 2 methods. We have properties and methods, right? Combination of object is nothing but properties and method. I'm writing only method properties. So one is increment method property. So another one is decrement method property. Okay, so inside that increment, what we are trying to do, I want to take one counter variable inside the create function. So where counter equal to something 5 or some 10. So I want to increment. So counter plus plus. So here at the time of, okay, here increment, here I want to display the data instead of decrement. Print or display something you can write. So increment or display. So inside the display, I don't want to do any logic. Just simply I'm writing console.log that counter variable. Just a second. Yeah, console.log, we have to provide the counter. Just I'm trying to display this one. So once we call this one, then it will increase this counter variable. So once we call the display method, then it will display the value. Okay, so this is normal function, that function return, so one object. So that object is having two method properties. Normal properties, you can provide number string delete. I provided method properties, that's it. So if you understand this function, then it's very easy to create objects and accessing. So where C equal to, so create method. So we can call the function and that function result we are keeping inside the C. So now I'm trying to call C dot. So first I need to call increment method. So if you increment, then what's happening? The 10 value will be increasing, 11 will display. So then C dot display method I'm trying to call, it will display here 11. Okay, so here I did not display, just I'm doing increment method. So that 10 plus plus that 11, so it will not display. But whenever we have to call the display method, the 10 value is incremented and it will display that 10 plus plus is 11. That's it. So here, so this is outer function, that outer function related variables we are trying to access in the inner function. So accessing means what? Just access and then we have to do the modification. Our modification is just increasing one value. That's it. So you need to understand the concept first. Once again. So what is closure? Leave it about global variables and local variables. We know outer function related variable. This is create is outer function related variable. So we can access inner function. This is inner function, right? Increment and display. So this variable, we are trying to access inner function. After accessing this counter variable, we are trying to do modification, that is increment. So in the display method, directly we are displaying that particular value. So now save this one and come to here. Oh, counter is not defined. Counter spelling mistake. Yes. Thank you. Counter plus plus. Okay, spelling everywhere correct, right? Yeah, so now 11 is coming. Okay, so based on the variable, we are able to access inside the inner function. So this is second level, so closure concept. So now we will see one more example. Once again, okay, sure, Kirti. Yeah, so one more, my student would be there, same name, Kiriti Patil. So I think he learned from me, I think in US, I think a same name I got it at the time of 2017 or somewhere. So he's my second or third student for the US batch. So same name, Kiriti Patil. Okay, fine. Yeah, here I have created one function. That function return some object. So one function can be written anything, right? So function, normal way you can think. So function employee. return Chiru. That's it. The similar way, so you can provide string, number, boolean, array, function, or so one function can return another function also. So this thing is also possible. So you should be aware of all these things. Oh, sorry. The similar way, one function can return one object. So if you provide, this is object, okay. So this return one object, so that object may be providing name, Chiru. This is string property is, so number some 30 number. So if you want, you can write increment function. So this is a string property. Object can be a combination of properties and methods, right? So this is string property, this is number property, this is method property. So but at present I'm trying to use only method related properties. Increment, display. That's it. So I have done the same thing. So function, outer function level, I have taken one variable. So where count equal to something 2 or 5 or 10 something. So here what we are doing, so that count plus I'm trying to do. So here I'm trying to print the same console.log count. That's it. So means outer function related variable. This is outer function, this function employee function, right? So this outer function related variable can access inner function. For employee, this is one inner function, right? So for outer function related variable, so this count variable we can access inside the inner function, that is this one. So we are doing manipulation. Generally, why we have to use methods? To manipulate the data. So that manipulation is nothing but just incrementing that number count. So another inner function I'm trying to display as it is. So the same example I have explained here. So then I have created the object and call those increment and display method. That's it. Okay. So understood, right, Kiriti? Yes, I need response from your end. Yeah, okay, fine. Yeah, so but do not agree with, so okay, I have asked a second time, but still I have some issue. But if I ask once again, then sir may feel, okay, don't feel like that. So you need to understand each and everything. So because if I explain something that is not 100%, okay, because 100% course I did not cover here, it's impossible. So not only here, so any faculty. So if you understand these things, at least in future, if you try to complex related programs, if you see somewhere else, then you can understand. Then if you understand what we are explaining in this class, if you did not understand about, first of all, these examples, so in future, so while working with organizations, you may get complicated things. So maybe, so this function may have, so one return, so very, very big array of objects. So instead of single object, we are providing array of objects. Just think like that. Instead of number, just instead of string, we are providing object. Instead of some number or string or object, sometimes it may provide another function. Just if you understand the concept, then nothing would be there. Okay, fine. So now I will ping you this example. I will try to explain one more example for the closer. So this is last example. I don't want to explain too many. So for better understanding how to write the functions, how to provide that function return types, how many ways to provide, all those things I'm trying to cover. Okay. So this is function employee. So where emp, so department equal to something, IT industry. Okay, IT department is IT information technology. Okay, so now I'm trying to same example, I'm trying to give a different way. So return So get department, same example, but different way of approach. Function. So return EMP department I'm printing. So get department, directly we are getting that employee department. So set department. So what we have to do? So we have to pass the parameter. So that parameter name is new department. So here I want to set this new department to the, so which value? That old value, our employee related property. See how I am writing coding, just carefully you have to listen. So just set department, I'm calling function. So we are passing new property. So that new property, that new department, we will get it from the runtime. So that runtime value, suppose instead of IT department, I'm getting HR department, okay, or something, another admin department. That admin department we are assigning to the EMP department. Earlier it would be IT, so now EMP department is something admin. So, but how to send this value? So dynamically through runtime we are sending this value. Okay, so that's it. So why it is giving error? Set department any semicolon expected. Oh, comma is expected. Okay, object, right? So we have to give comma separated. So now we have to write where emp1 equal to, so new employee. Okay, so emp1 dot, first I'm trying to, okay, first we will get as it is department, get department. So now we will get it. So that employee department is IT, it will return. Okay, so after that, I'm trying to set the department emp1 dot set department. I want to give some admin or some accounts or something. So after setting that value, I'm trying to print the value. So emp1 dot get department. So now check it out, output. Example in chat box. Yeah, so it's not printing means we did not provide console.log. Console.log. Yeah, so console.log emp.department. Similar way for setting not required. So just for displaying console.log emp.department. So initially we got IT department. Later we have set it. The set value we are assigning to again. So that EMP department, that is accounts. So what we have done, outer function related variable, we are able to access inside the inner function. The same outer function related variable in another inner function, we are able to access and we are trying to modify. So this is nothing but, so closer. Okay, so that's it, fine, no issues. We don't want to discuss much more. So now we will discuss about exception handling mechanism in JavaScript. So before explaining that one, so do we have any questions? Exception handling in JavaScript. Okay, so how to do exception handling? Generally, JavaScript will take care about exception handling. So it doesn't care about that much fully exception handling mechanism inside the JavaScript. Okay, but some case we have to use, so try catch finally blocks for handling the exceptions. So generally, why exception handling mechanism is required? Okay, for example, I have written some program. So program dot something HTML or JS or something. So this is, I have written first line of code, second line of code, and third line of code. So we have written 2 lines of code, but first line it will execute, but second line, so due to some reasons, so we will get some exception. So that exception can be so anything. So maybe we have written function, but we should not call that function. Okay, sorry, we are calling that function, but that function definition is not there. So otherwise 10 by 0, so that is not possible, right? So actually arithmetic exception, that type of exception should display. So this type of issues we will get it. So in those times, what will happen? So normally the program flow will be executing from top to bottom. So first line code will execute, second line code will execute, and third line. If it is, everything is success. But for example, if you get the exception in the second line, then so which will disturb the normal flow of the program, right? So that is the meaning of exception. So exception is nothing but an abnormal condition, so which disturb the normal flow of the program. Okay, we will write the same definition. Exception as an event, so which normal flow of the program. Okay, so except which disturb the so normal flow of the program. Exception is an event which disturb the normal flow of the program is nothing but so exception. So in JavaScript, so we need to use try, catch, and finally keywords for handling. In JavaScript, we need to use try, catch, and finally keywords for handling exceptions. Okay, so now we need to understand why we have to use try, why we have to use catch, why we have to use finally, right? So just write down, so try block is used to enclose the code that might throw an exception. So not 100% might be throwing an exception, right? So an exception. So that is a try block. So, but once we write the try block, must be followed by the either catch or finally block. So if you want to write only try block and then keep calm and write the code inside, sorry. Number of lines of code, something. So this is doesn't work. Okay, so once we write the try block, you must provide the either catch block or you can provide the finally block. Any one of the block is mandatory, or otherwise you can provide all the blocks, catch, try, catch, finally. Okay, so why we have to use try block? Just we are providing some code so that might throw an exception. We are writing some code, so we don't know 100% so that code should throw an exception. That might throw an exception. So that's why we can use a catch block for catching that exception. Okay, so we will write that one. So catch block is used to handle the exception. So it must be after the try block. This is must. So without try block, if you write, so it's a catch block, no uses, right? So that is the reason. So catch block is used to handle the exception and it must be so after the try block only. And last one, so finally block will be executed always. So when whether exception is raised or not. Maybe inside the try, we said might throw an exception, right? It may throw or it may not throw, but finally block, finally not lock, finally block. So we'll execute always whether, so that exception throw or not throw, no issues, but it will execute. Why? Because inside the try block, if you try to use heavy resources like files, if you open file, so it will take too much of memory inside the heap. So that type of objects we need to close forcefully. So that forcefully we have to close inside the finally block. Okay, so that's why it is so used for clean and free the resources. So especially heavy resources. So example, closing files. So these are the theory about so exception handling. So if you want, you can write syntax, try, catch, then finally. Okay, so once you've done this theory, so then we will see the example. Make it fast. Then right? Okay, noted, right? Okay, fine. So now we will discuss about so example. I'm writing some try block. So I'm calling say, okay, get skillage info console.log. So after skillage info should display something, some message is there. So what's happening here? We are calling this method, that method is not available. So then it should display some error, right? So we are calling this method, but after that we are writing some message also. Okay, if you get the same thing, console.log, we will write this thing otherwise. Before method call, same statement we will write after this, after method call. Okay, so inside that I'm trying to write some method, but I did not write any definition. When definition means function gets skillage info, I did not write it. Okay, but we will get the exception, right? So inside the catch, that exception object E. So now console.log e.stack. So that exception is having two more properties would be there, description and message, but we are not using those things. By default, we are using stack only. So that stack error message we are trying to display. And these are enough, but sometimes we will use finally for closing resources. I'm writing console.log finally will execute always something. I'm writing just info. Okay, that's it. That is enough. Just for checking exception raised or not. So normal flow of the program is executing first. It will print the before method call, then immediately it will execute this one. So is there any implementation for that method? We are calling, but there is no method. right? So how to provide? Somewhere we have to provide function get skill edge info, then we have to write some logic there. But we did not write it, then we will get the error here. So exception will come here. Okay, so now we will see what's happening. All our console.logs, right? Okay, clear, refresh. So before method call is executing normal flow of the program, immediately we got the error, reference error, get skill edge info is not defined. Okay, where at this particular HTML file, if you click there, so then it will give the yellow color background. Boss, you have provided here, but it doesn't define anywhere inside this program. Okay, so after that, so it doesn't execute this line of code because we got the exception here. So then immediately it will come to the catch block. So it will find out that exception object. So that object is having stack property. It will give this error message. But finally block, so even exception raised or not raised. So now the situation is raised, still it display the finally block. Okay, so that's why finally we'll execute even exception is raised. So now I'm trying to provide the same function definition we will provide. Function, so get skill edge info. So I'm trying to call, so get skill edge info is calling something. Save, refresh. Now check it out. Before method call, get skill edge info is calling. After method call, again finally block will execute because whether earlier exception is raised, it's still executing. So now, so exception is not there, still it will execute. So this is the way we have to handle the exception handling. But most of the times in JavaScript, we should not use so this try catch finally, because JavaScript internally take care about that exception if you get this issue, even without using this try catch. So finally also, if you write directly this one, then we will get the same issue. Sorry, is it compulsory to write final? No, finally block is not mandatory. But if you want to use sometimes heavy resources, like for example, in your application, we need to open the files. So then we are opening files, but we need to close that files, right? So for example, sometimes the object would be heavily, we can create. So that object, so we need to nullify, means we have to clean that resource, right? We have to assign it to that object to the null, means that would be closed. So then it will remove that particular object from the heap memory. So then we can avoid the memory leaks. Okay, we can save the, so heap memory, then we can improve the what is that memory wise performance, right? So that type of things, for that reason we will use finally, but not mandatory. Okay, fine guys, so these are the things. And so I will discuss, okay, I will try to discuss tomorrow. So once overall within half an hour tomorrow, so I will try to discuss entire JavaScript what we discussed till now. Okay, so and along with I will try to discuss about some DOM manipulations. Okay, so I will discuss DOM manipulations, then so we will go for the so entire JavaScript. So what is JavaScript, what are the advantages, what are the drawbacks would be there, so variables, operators, data types, so those functions. Once again we will try to cover entire JavaScript. So then we will move to the advanced JavaScript, that is ES6. Okay, fine guys. So if you have any questions so related to the JavaScript, sir, could you please explain or ping example? Yes. Yeah, I want to tell you one thing, don't worry. So if you need any special topic for the JavaScript, maybe I may miss those topics. So you can ping me. So I will try to explain the topics also if you require any topic. Okay. So most of the things I have covered, but still if you need some topics, then let me know. So maybe I can discuss after year 6. Maybe I will take on Saturday. I will try to discuss those topics Saturday or Sunday. Okay, so no issues. So I will try to discuss once JavaScript is over. So not JavaScript entire course is over. So just remind me, I will explain entire flow of the application about JavaScript internally, what's happening. I want to explain JavaScript engine and as well as event loop mechanism, but not now. So once we complete the entire course, then I will try to explain. So among that means apart from that, if you need any other JavaScript topics, so once we discuss tomorrow, right? So I will try to complete tomorrow. So basic JavaScript, not basic means not advanced ES6 level JavaScript. So before that, ES5 level JavaScript, if you need any other topics, feel free to ask me. I will try to explain those topics. Okay, fine, guys. So we will meet again tomorrow at 8 p.m. IST. Thank you so much. Bye bye.